Thanks for the applause prompt. All right. Just to get an idea, how many of you are in UX design or research over here? Right. And how many of you are developers? Right. And just how many of you are working for large enterprises like, say, Ospo's, Telstra? All right. Great. Just to get an idea, because I'm also going to start a story, once upon a time. I think that's like the buzzword for today. And also because I've realized of late, most of my presentations do start with once upon a time, probably because I have a mom for a 3-year-old and it kind of gets into your brain. Anyways, once upon a time, there was a project, and the project had a designer who was not very sure what the goal of her project was. She had a lot of information that she needed, but she didn't really know how to find it because she wanted to go to her customers, but she was told that there isn't enough time. She needs to deliver fast. Management wants it done ASAP, and she didn't have much time for research and validation. And then there was the developer who felt that the agile team isn't really agile enough. They are not really following the agile principles. There's talk about vision, business strategy, but nobody's really talking about requirements gathering. They are told that the designers need more time, but there isn't enough time to code. And of course, there are lots and lots of questions, but not really anybody who's willing to answer them. And finally, there was a project manager. So the project manager had a grand vision and a lot of strategy about the new product because he's got this amazing amount of data from the marketing team who have told him that, oh my God, this has to be a success, but it needs to hit the market fast. We have to be really quick. But instead of delivering, the team keeps asking for questions which they can't answer. So it's so obvious that the team is really stalling. Do these stories sound familiar? It's a story with most of us, and what really happens then is the project goes to the end. I'm not ending my presentation here, just FYI. Let's just take a step back in time. In the 1900s, it was the age of manufacturing. Mass manufacturing made a lot of industrial powerhouses, and therefore product and product management kind of roles came to the forefront. In the 1960s, it was the age of distribution, which meant business strategy and supply chain management kind of roles would come to the forefront. 1990s, the age of information, the age of Steve Wozniaks. That meant that age of technologists. Finally, 2010, till today, it's the age of consumers. So today, the empowered buyers demand a new kind of obsession with products. And because of this, there's the new kind of roles that have emerged. It's of the experienced drivers. And when I say experienced drivers, I don't just mean user experience professionals. I actually mean developers, I mean iteration managers, I mean business analysts, everybody who is actually contributing to building up that experience. But most of the times, this is what we face. Most of the times, we end up being more reactive instead of proactive, especially when we are working in an enterprise. Me as a designer, I'm often tasked with the vision of creating this beautiful experience for my customers. And also, I'm the blocker on the agile wall. Sharbani, always with a block. At Post, we have a few more challenges to add to that. We are a traditional organization. Earlier, our customers were listening to the terms that we dictated for them, the open and close times of the post office, the postmaster's lunch hour, the postie's deflated tire. Today, we shoulder the responsibility of maintaining our customers' trust and faith through massive physical and operational changes as we move into the digital era. With the slow decline of mail, we've realized that customers are more and more getting into the digital era, and hence, we've shifted our focus to parcel deliveries. How can we really make that experience better for our customers? Some of the challenges that we've faced in this, especially as cross-functional teams, we've got limitations of leadership. The role of a creative leader is not just to bring about innovative ideas every day. It's more about creating a culture where more innovative ideas can be born. That definitely becomes a big challenge in big organizations. Then comes the authority and decision-making process. Teams with more conservative leadership feel that they have to seek approval for each and every step or idea that they create. And of course, goal ambiguity. In any agile process, we know that because agile is such an incremental, step-by-step kind of a methodology, it does not really have enough room for long-term vision or long-term goals. And we've already seen an earlier presentation about impact of interpersonal dynamics, and especially being a designer, and also I think a lot of developers also feel we are great at creating things and we are great at building things, but we are not really that good at communicating our vision and communicating the things that we create. And finally, no focus on key stakeholders. Tell me, I'll forget. Show me, I'll understand. But involve me, and I'll know forever how to do it. In any successful product experience today, it's really important to have the balance of the three spheres of influence: viability, feasibility, and desirability. So viability is effectively what is good for business, feasibility, whether it's technologically possible, and desirability, whether customers really want it or not, what are they really looking for. However, the reality is, this is what most of the times happens. One of the spheres gets shoved aside in favor of the other two. At Post, we follow the Scaled Agile Framework for Enterprise, or the SAFE methodology. Which means that the teams have been empowered to build together. So where product deliveries take anything from 8 to 9 months to, say, a couple of years, at Post we are delivering products every 3 months. This means that every 3 months we come together collectively, say roughly a team of, I think, about 100 people now, I'm not too sure, about 7 development teams, some design teams, product teams, everybody comes together and charts out what is the plan for the next 3 months. This is our program board. And as you can see, the top row, the pink cards on the top are our product deliverables, the products that we are going to deliver at the end of the 3-month period, and each of the other rows belong to all the teams. So the threads that are tying all of these cards together, they are effectively marking the dependencies between the teams, and they eventually lead to the top row, which is the deliverables row. What it helps us to ensure is that we are working towards a unified outcome, even though all of the individual teams have their own deliverables to mark. We achieve this through a sort of a top-down process. It starts at the leadership. It's really important to maintain a very fair play of perspectives, and having one leader each for viability, feasibility, and desirability ensures that the leadership again appoints executioners for each of these 3 spheres. So for example, viability, the head of business would ensure that there are program managers, product managers. The head of feasibility would ensure there are enterprise architects, tech leads, and developers who are facilitating the product. And desirability, the head of experience is ensuring that experience managers, designers, researchers, everybody is contributing towards making it a good experiential product. So where does design really fit into all this? As a design team, what we have done is we've divided our entire process into four bits and pieces. Starts with discovery, which is where we figure out what is the customer problem that we are trying to solve. Then is runway, where we figure out how to solve that problem. Just in time is effectively where the problem goes to the development teams and they start building on it, so effectively building the solution. And optimize, where we have already launched the product in the market and we are looking at it and we are learning from it. So this kind of illustrates that. So as you can see, discovery and runway is something which we try to start before the development process actually starts. And then we feed into the just-in-time work. I'll just give you an example of how we do our discovery. This is one of the tools that we use, which is the task model. It's one of my favorite tools, so I like to talk about it. This is on the top, we, of course, map the current versus the ideal experience, the standard journey mapping. We also map out what are the customer's goals and aspirations at each stage of the experience. We map out what are the business goals and aspirations for each stage of the experience, and we map out what are the current metrics that are at the experience for each of those stages. What we then do is we actually break down those goals and aspirations into micro tasks that a customer or the business needs to do to achieve those aspirations. The next step is to map out what are our current capabilities against each of those tasks. So at the top half, we have the tasks, and the bottom half, we have the capabilities that help us achieve those tasks. That's our current capabilities. And then we map out anything that we don't currently have, but that might be there in the market, be it with our competitors, be it with, say, a McDonald's or an Uber, anything. Anybody who's doing something to achieve a similar kind of task that our customer or the business needs to do. We also identify opportunities where we don't know what exactly we need to understand, opportunities that we need to research more. And finally, all the gaps that you can see, that's what tells us that what is really lacking in experience and where we need to build. Of course, we also identify what are our target metrics against this model, just to make sure that we are tracking in time. We then try to socialize these findings, be it through physical walls or even one of the tools that we are using off late is real-time board. I love it. It's effectively, it allows us to put all of these journeys onto a digital media, and then everybody can collaborate on it. So everybody from the devs, the IMs, the project managers, the product owners, everybody can have a look at this and identify gaps and opportunities and pick up stuff that we can build on. So when the gaps and opportunities have been identified, they go into a prioritization session. So this is a really interesting bit. So this is effectively nothing but a session where there are representatives from the development team, there are representatives from the software architecture team, design team, then product teams, and when I say product teams, any product team that might be impacted by that particular idea. Everybody votes on the customer value, the business value, the opportunity enablement, as in how well is that particular idea enabling opportunities within the organization for other parts of the organization, how well it is reducing risk, as well as how time critical it is. Like, say, Amazon is coming tomorrow, so MyPost needs to do something about it. So yeah, so we all vote on these, and then the features that go highest in priority go to the runway stage. So this is where we figure out how to solve the problem. So this is the time when we figure out all different kinds of concepts and ideas. We workshop together with all our teams to figure out, sketch out ideas, which we take to our customers to get them validated as to what will work, what wouldn't work, and then finally mature the idea a bit more to take it to the just-in-time, which is where the dev teams are ready to build on it. And by this time, the design team the involvement reduces a bit because we are just figuring out the edge cases, error scenarios, high fidelity designs, and probably testing all the micro interactions with our customers. Finally, after the idea is launched into the market, this is where we are learning and refining ideas. And when we are learning and refining, we also make sure, apart from our usual metrics, we are also tracking customer effort scores, system usability metrics, and net promoter scores. These are effectively experiential scores, which help us to understand whether the idea is really working from an experience point of view or not. So this makes us track not just conversions, but also repeat usage, longevity of engagement, direct customer feedback, as well as first-time deliveries. Finally, in order to make all of this happen, it's really important for us to build the conversations. Workshops and sprints, I just realized Robin is in that.
That's not my face.
Oh, that is. Anyways, yeah, it's a shirt, exactly. So yeah, so they not only help us create the momentum, but also help us achieve stakeholder buy-ins. And most important, which the fact that I really love about workshops is that it becomes a breeding ground of ideas, something which we would never achieve with one single designer on a project. So we do all of these things which are feeding into each other because we want that all key functions are involved from the day that the idea is first conceptualized. It's really important that the team leadership and the goals are shared and they are crystal clear to everybody who's involved. We want the decision-making process to be absolutely transparent, our key stakeholders involved from the beginning, and most importantly, teams are recognized for their success as well as encouraged to fail fast. And when I say encouraged to fail fast, it means that failure almost becomes like a KPI for us. In the end, it's a learning process. We are continuously learning. I'm not saying this is a foolproof methodology. We keep trying to improve, and every time we fail, try to fail faster, and we also sometimes pivot completely. But one thing that we've realized through all of this learning and working and experimenting is that there are two key components which are really important in any cross-functional team, and especially for large enterprises and even for small enterprises, and that's visibility and collaboration. It's really important as designers and also as overall teams to be absolutely visible about what we are doing, how we are doing it, what are the ideas right from the day one, and collaborate on it together. That's it. Thank you.